PWD Allies, the best disability podcast in Canada. Starring your hosts, Brent Frain. And as always, his producer and editor, Neil Matheson.
Here's a complete rundown of the top 7 disability stories in Canada this week. We're doing a new segment. We're trying out a new segment here each and every week, and I hope you enjoy it. With that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Neil, my editor-producer, who's going to go through the list with me and provide them to you. So again, if you're in live chat right now, definitely.
We have Mama Inga in chat, and she says, good morning and nice to see you guys.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Inga.
Yeah, and we're doing a new segment here. This is our first live show of 2026, by the way.
And just so before we get rolling here, just so people realize, like, as your producer, I always want to try new formats, new things to see how we can make the show better. So I deliberately wanted to do about 7 or 8 shows where we do the cut down thing where it's really highly edited, just to see, because we already do the edited things for your Breaking with Brent's travel segments. So those are really highly edited things. And I wanted to try to edit our podcast for content to kind of really get it like super focused. So if there's any kind of repeats or anything where you're kind of getting off topic, I just cut it. And so the first 8 episodes or so that we've done, that was kind of the experiment. And some people have liked it and some people have not liked it, but people missed this live. So we did want to bring back the live, and I still want to try to have shows where we still edit it down, because I think I think it'll be good to have content that's really laser focused. That's the idea behind the change that we've done. But at the same time, we do want to respect that. I mean, the whole reason you began the whole podcast, or it was back on Twitter Spaces. The whole reason you began the whole thing was to build a disability community. Yeah, and provide a platform where everybody can, connect and participate. And so, of course, we don't want to lose that. We actually like this, the immediate connection to our audience. So we're gonna keep that up with the live. Yes. But also now with this new format we're gonna try with the live is every single week we're gonna come up with maybe 5 to 7 stories every week that are new and fresh of the top disability stories in Canada or even around the world. But this week it's in Canada specifically. And so we'll see how people like it. But let's start.
It won't be like Groundhog Day, everybody. You've seen it once, and then Brent.
Every week will be new and fresh. Yeah, and you won't be saying, well, they covered that last month, So
you're gonna say the same words that he said last week, and again and again.
So that's just this will be good. So let's go with the first topic. I'll bring up the headline here.
Sounds great.
The first headline, the big top story is Prime Minister Mark Carney introduced his grocery rebate through the GST tax credit, right?
Right.
He's doing this grocery rebate, or this affordability rebate, or however he calls it. So I'm sure everybody's heard about that. So if we have more than Mama Inga in the chat, people can pipe in about that. It's basically the rundown of it is, of course, the GST payments are quarterly. So it's 3 payments a year, and basically what it's
January, April, July.
Oh, quarterly does mean 4. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I was thinking every 4 months would make it 3, but Yeah.
Okay. It almost seems
Maybe you should kick me off the podcast, Brent.
well, it almost seems that way though because of the buying power, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, so you have 25% increase
Ooh.
on these GST payments, which seems okay. Like, I think for me, uh, every month for me is about $350. Um, and so, you know, that's not bad. But I think we had MJ. She messaged me and she said, well, for her it will be an increase of maybe $11 or $12 or something.
Yeah, I was just going to
So
mention that it's about 30 anywhere between 33 $35 more every quarter payments.
yeah,
And so when you divide that down into each month, it's about $11 everyone. It's about 11 bucks.
yeah. Okay, so that's where she's getting her math from. Yeah,
So when you say $11, well, you have to buy a loaf of bread and maybe a jug of milk and make it last for a whole month, or maybe some produce, maybe a couple pieces of produce, depending on what you're buying. If you're buying a head of lettuce in BC, I don't know what the price is in the other areas of the country, but I mean, a head of lettuce, $5. I mean, wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And so maybe a jug of milk, so a head of lettuce and a jug of milk. Yeah, there goes your $11, or maybe some carrots, some fresh vegetables. I mean, maybe if you really want to stretch it out, I mean, if it's $11 averaged out, just go and get some frozen entrees, right? You can go and get them at Walmart or No Frills. I don't know if No Frills or Superstore or any of those companies. They can get them for like $2, or sometimes they're on sale. You stock up on those. I mean, stretch them
Well,
out.
you know what's interesting though, Brent, is when you compare this rollout that Mark Carney has done
Mm.
with the promise that our beloved David Eby, our BC Premier here, did. He promised a grocery rebate too prior
Yeah,
to the election,
yeah.
and basically that is a promise that got him elected.
Hmm. But it never.
Um,
Oh,
so I have to believe that he never intended to do it. It was just a pie in the sky promise to get him elected. Anyway, his promise was $1,000 rebate, which
yeah, per household.
per household, which would work out to about $80 a month. So that was a pretty significant promise.
Hmm.
But of course,
It never
didn't
happened.
it never happened.
Yeah. Now
which
you see
which
it. Now
which
you don't. Yeah.
which again, I think David Eby fully intended it not to happen.
Hmm.
But that was going to cost for that $80 a month for everybody. That was going to cost about $1.8 billion for that.
Ooh.
But now that's gone by the dodo.
Hmm.
And it's interesting. I just saw a article posted by our friend and ally, Rob Shaw.
Mm.
He just recently did an article about the pain that's coming in the new BC budget.
Oh.
Brenda Bailey is quoted as saying that she's going to be the most hated person in BC. With the upcoming budget, she's going to be the most hated person in BC for the foreseeable future. That's what her quote
Mm.
is.
Oh.
Yeah. So she's preparing everybody for a world of hurt coming up in the next budget. Yeah.
Well, that's that's going to be very interesting. And before we go on to the next topic, I want to quickly dive into regarding the GST quarterly payments. So it'll be 25. My understanding after reading the headlines and diving into some of the press releases regarding that, there's going to be a one-time top up of 50%.
50%. Yeah. I
Okay.
forgot to
And
mention that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then that will be in June, everybody. And
Yeah.
then after that, it's going to be 25% going forward for the next 5 years.
Hmm.
So again, people probably think, well, that's great. I mean, it's going to help a little bit. And yes, I mean, yeah, I'll be honest. Yes, it will help a little tiny bit, but
Hmm.
very not much with the cost of living, with the cost of groceries, food affordability. Uh, a lot of the critics will call it a crisis. I call it a state of emergency. Like we'll call it a spade, right? Because when there's a major crisis going on, what do? You to take care of your citizens before it becomes to that state of emergency, right?
Yeah.
So sure, quarterly payments, a small little tiny sliver of that amount. Um, how about eliminating the GST completely? Would be
Well,
would be
yeah.
one of the solutions on it. But because well, I mean that would help everybody on your goods and services, like your home services. You're not going to be paying tax on that. The federal government gets a lot of revenue from a lot of other sources, and that would be more affordable, but at the same time, it was kind of cracking down on bringing out quarterly payments like that. It's going to basically increase the inflationary cost of the goods and
Yeah.
services that they say they want to make more affordable. They're actually what's going to happen is they're going to make it unaffordable, because what happened when the federal government came out with that GST holiday. Everybody remember that one? That was back in 2024 to 2025.
I almost forgot about that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when they came out with that, that really didn't do too well for
Yeah.
the food.
Well, you know what I wanted to talk about though, Brent,
Mhm.
just briefly before we go on to the next one,
Yeah.
is that our friend MJ, she's the one that I was talking to about this whole grocery rebate thing. 'Cause she was saying it's going to save her maybe $11 or so.
Yeah.
But the other thing that she was saying is that, you know, the thing about this grocery rebate and the thing that was the same thing with David Eby is that they were targeting, they were saying this is something for everybody, you know, like they're trying to appeal to the masses, right?
Hmm.
Um, and MJ's thing is like you're still ignoring legislated poverty
Yeah.
for the most vulnerable population in provinces like here in BC, but all across all Canada, it's
Hmm.
legislated poverty, right? So it's like you really need to start targeting things better, I think, because of course the CDB. It was gonna remember it was gonna be sent out to everybody. Like every Canadian was gonna get this thing. It was gonna be maybe $600. That's what people thought. And then
It's going
it's
to be
like,
historical. Yeah, historical.
and now it's $200 and it's gone out to maybe 5%. You know,
Yeah.
and
So,
so again with this grocery rebate, you have this grocery rebate that's gonna get out to everybody,
mhm.
but then it's still ignoring the real crucial people that are affected. You know,
Hmm.
people with disabilities living in legislative poverty,
Oh,
and
absolutely. And it doesn't. The government's not diving into the core of the problem. Is where is the where is the CDB that was promised? I mean,
yeah,
many years ago, right? But it's a splashy announcement. It's a more of a look at what we're doing. I mean, and I'm sure most Canadians. I mean, that would receive this new quarterly payments or a top up. I mean, sure. I mean, it's like a little, few peanuts here and there, a splash in a splash in the bank account. But is that really going to lift people out of legislative poverty? No,
yeah.
not.
And the comment from Mama Inga was that it makes us feel unwanted
Yeah,
over and over and over again.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's more of those PR announcements, and and everybody listening. I mean, like I say again, I mean, sure, grateful, but it's not going to solve the core problem. The problem is that lifting people up to no less than poverty level financial support, up to either MBM or the LICO formula. I
Mhm.
still think the LICO formula is the best solution. The federal and provincial governments want to go with MBM because it's the lesser amount. Like
Yeah.
look at the GST announcement. Let's go with the lesser amount, the least amount, 25%
Yeah.
pop up. Yeah, it's more of a catchphrase, right?
But getting back to MJ again, I just wanted to
Yeah.
make one final comment because you know she's really passionate about this. She wants uh, anybody here in BC and across Canada, like everybody, she wants everybody to start picking up the baton
Hmm.
and to start writing letters and emails to ombudsman offices. Like here in BC, we have the BC ombudsperson office,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
um, and she wants to see a complaint filed for legislative poverty. So,
Hmm.
you know, I haven't done one for legislative poverty, but I filed my last one that I filed was for my clawback of my pension. I filed that back on January 1st of 2025, so
Hmm.
over a year ago now, and
Wow.
it's still active. They're still looking at it.
Hmm.
So over a year later, they're still
It's
looking
still,
at it, and they said, you know, be patient with it. So they do take a while. They do take a while, but they are. It is worth it because
yeah.
I have been following what they've been doing lately at the ombudsman office, and you can see over they're starting to they're starting to focus more and more on disability issues. They actually are. Like
Hmm.
I'm watching them. I'm watching them very carefully, and you can see them picking up more of the disability file cases,
Good. Good.
which is great.
Yeah.
So yeah, so MJ says, this is from MJ. She says she wants everybody to kind of pick up the baton and start filing complaints
Hmm.
to your ombudsman office, whether it's here in BC or
Or any province,
any province in Canada. Start doing that
yeah. And
because,
then,
like I said, I've noticed it myself. I've seen more stories of or more situations of the ombudsman office really picking up and really starting to focus on the disability files issues in this province.
mhm.
So,
Yeah, the more that you write your ombudsperson, also write a letter to your local MP, your
mhm.
MPP, your MLA, wherever you are in the country. And if you find it better just to type it out or handwrite it, handwrite it. Geez, I haven't written all those handwriting or writing it. Um, but or a phone call. Yeah, definitely. I mean, emails, sure, they can just bounce them back, but writing them was probably more effective because auto reply with the email. Yeah, 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 we got it. Yeah, somewhere. Um, However, you find it easier for yourself, more accessible. Definitely contact them. Don't be shy, because your voice needs to shine, needs to be heard. I mean, you could probably even put anonymous if you want. I mean, in your correspondence to your ombudsperson, you can tell them that you just want to stay anonymous. I'm sure they could probably accommodate that for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, definitely let your voice be heard because MJ's right. It's just a distraction by provincial and federal governments. They have a legal responsibility to take care of their citizens. They're supposed to do that for seniors, right? People with disabilities. Before we move on to the next point, everybody,
Yeah.
people with disabilities. I mean, they can be seniors, they can be children, they can be a low infant, they can just be a youth, they can be an adult. It doesn't matter what age category you're in. Disabilities do not go away. And the sooner we make the government,
Dun, dun,
yeah,
dun.
dun, dun, dun. But I mean, the sooner that we make government from all stripes of all levels understand that it's okay to talk about people with disabilities. It's okay to not to say, oh well, seniors. Well, how about people with disabilities? Seniors have disabilities, so let's change the narrative. Government and media. Like I want the media to step up and actually
Mhm.
listen to the lived experience stories. Don't be shy. Don't be scared. I mean, yeah. I mean, I remember years ago, and that wasn't too many years ago. I used to turn the news on. I would hear about disability stories. People with disabilities being interviewed on the news hour. I
Yeah.
think, oh wow, what happened? What happened? How come that's not happening now? So let's make that happen. And if you don't make it happen, what's going to happen is that
You,
we
you
we
know,
we
you
make
know,
it
you
happen.
know, you know what? How it happened, Brent,
Hmm.
is David Eby had everybody sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements.
Oh, yes, yes, yeah. They don't want to talk about it. So when the reporter goes to them, they can't talk about nothing. They put on a smile face. Everything's fine.
That's what he did with all his cabinet. He had them all sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. So and he paid them all off like what was it, $60,000 a minimum. pay
Right
raises.
in BC, that's right
So
too.
it
Yeah,
was basically hush money. Like I'm gonna pay you this hush money, and then you're all gonna sign NDAs,
yeah, yeah.
and you're all gonna say you love me.
42. Was it 42 or 43 MLAs? I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Anyway, I mean that's a whole other podcast, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's go on to the next topic here. So the next topic is
Da-dang.
the Air Canada accessibility failure. So it's Air Canada is in the news again,
Oh, yes.
and Air Canada has been in the news
Fly,
in the
fly.
past a while,
Yeah.
for quite often for things like broken wheelchairs in
Mm.
transit when they put the
Oh,
wheelchairs under in the belly of the plane.
oh,
The wheelchairs come
yeah.
up broken and things.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh, mm.
so anyway, on this story, we're gonna travel all the way to Montreal for this story.
Mm.
So this is Montreal. There's boy, his name is Sammy Caballero,
Mm.
and it's an issue of failure to accommodate. So it took 2 weeks for Air Canada to return a call about booking an accessible flight for this Sammy Caballero. Now, this the reason why they're booking a flight is because he's in a wheelchair, he's in a motorized
Mhm.
wheelchair, and he needs to be carried to his seat,
Right.
right? Uh, so it has to be done as an accessible flight.
Mhm.
So it took 2 weeks for Air Canada to even return a call about that.
Wow.
And
That's
then
acceptable.
the mother was told that she needs to book a reference number. She needs to
What?
book with a reference number. So
Oh,
after all that wait, she was then told to, like, no, you have to get a particular reference number for it.
mhm.
And then she found out there was no direct flight offered. After
After
everything
all
was said
that?
and done, there
Oh
was
my.
no direct flight offered. So the electric wheelchair had to be loaded and unloaded twice because they had a connecting flight, and that meant also that this Sammy Caballero, this son of hers, had to be loaded and unloaded twice too in this sling. And
It's like, oh wow.
yeah, and so it was. I think it was the father and a friend that was doing doing the sling. But
Hmm.
they said, because they had a connecting flight to unload to unload and reload twice, the wheelchair and Sammy. I mean,
Right.
that's a lot of wear and tear on the chair and a lot of wear and
Oh
tear on
yeah.
the person, right?
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, it would
Yeah.
and to accommodate, make more accessible in the first place, but I don't understand why it would take Air Canada 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I mean, that's
Yeah.
acceptable. Totally unacceptable. And
And the thing was is that the mother gave plenty of notice. Like it was like at least a month before the flight. She tried to book for the accessible flight option. So this was like at least a month in advance, and they still failed to provide what was necessary. So apparently, Canadian Transport Agency ruled back in 2023. They said all passengers that give at least 21-day notice must be given an accessible option. And of
exactly.
course, in this case, Air Canada failed again. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate because it didn't have to be that way.
Hmm.
You have to accommodate customers. Doesn't matter what mode of transportation it is. And Air Canada, back in the news again on that one. And there's been so many stories of people's wheelchairs being damaged or just not providing the proper accessibility needs for persons with disabilities on different modes of transportation. I mean, Air Canada again. It's not a good look. Yeah, it definitely needs to have some changes that need to happen. Accountability department, they need to be up on that and actually follow through with the customer, but don't make them wait 2 weeks, right? That's
Yeah,
completely
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. Let's go fire on to our third story here, Brent.
Hmm.
And our third story is a disabled woman abandoned on a transit bus.
Oh,
And I'll get into the specifics there. This is a situation. It's similar to here we have the handy darts here in BC.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of similar. This is in Edmonton. We're going over to Edmonton now for this story. In
Okay.
Edmonton, there's a disabled woman, uh, and there's something in Edmonton called DATS, a DATS bus, which is the dedicated accessible transit service. So again, it's very similar to the Handy Dart here in BC, where it's a door-to-door service for people with disabilities. And but there was snow, and
Mhm.
this bus got stuck in the snow. Now, you can forgive that because I mean stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
But where you can't forgive it, and I'm going to get to it, is that the passengers on this bus were stuck on the bus for 3.5 hours, stuck
Oh,
in the snow for 3.5 hours, and there was
wow.
no contact made, no attempt to contact the families
No communication.
by the bus company. They made no attempt to so they had apparently they had a tow truck come to try to get the bus out of the snow, and the
Oh
tow
my.
truck got stuck.
Oh no.
So yeah,
Oh,
so they did get it. They did make an attempt to get the bus unstuck, but now the tow
the
truck's
tow truck
unstuck,
got stuck. Oh,
stuck
Jesus.
too.
Oh,
And but again,
oh,
the big miss here is that the
the
company,
communication.
the transit company, made no attempt to contact the families and say, hey, by the way, we have a bus stuck,
Mm-hmm.
because the person that brought the story forward, she's on video. She said, the thing that's unfortunate is that, again, there was no communication. She said, if the bus company had called me,
Mm-hmm.
I would have gone in my car myself to pick. I think it was her sister. I think,
Oh, yeah.
and she says I would have gone and picked up my sister by myself in my own car,
Yeah.
but instead, like, I
She
was
left.
left in the dark. I had no idea.
Yeah, she figured that the bus company would actually communicate and maybe radio a radio, their headquarters, and send out another bus to basically dispatch out and transfer the passengers onto another shuttle bus. But that didn't happen. Again,
Hmm.
there's so many communication issues there of lack of communication and waiting. Oh, well, tow truck will come. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, as
Yeah.
soon as that happened, I mean, right away they should have already that other shuttle bus should have already been on its way to basically get the people
Yeah.
off, and then tow it away. I mean, sure. I mean, Edmonton gets a lot of snow. That's for sure.
Yeah, and again, you
Yeah,
can't. I mean, snow's going to happen, of
yeah.
course.
You can't
So
stop their
so
nature.
that's not what the complaint is focused on.
Yeah,
The complaint is focused
about
on the
communication.
fact, not that they got stuck in the snow, but the fact that the bus company never made any attempt to contact the family.
Yeah,
And so
especially if
so you
you're
had
going to
all
have.
these passengers stuck on the bus for 3.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially I mean, if they have to go to the washroom or anything too.
I know exactly, 100%, because I mean, maybe a lot of them need help to get to the washroom for
Exactly.
starters. But let's go on to the next story here,
Yeah.
again, Brent. So we'll hide this one. And number 4 is special education exclusions.
Mm,
And that's a big one. I know
huge.
we have another friend of the podcast, Tamara Taggart,
Hmm.
that always talks about exclusionary practices in our schools here in BC,
Yep.
with her own son with Down syndrome.
Hmm.
She said that her son was excluded all the time in schools. So it's a big thing, and you know these stories, like, we wish we could have some good news stories, and maybe we will.
Hmm.
Maybe we will one day have a good news story.
Hmm.
But these are all kind of lived experience stories, and they're all kind of negative, unfortunately, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly. But it
that's kind of what happens.
it's news stories that we need to share with our audience and our viewers, just to bring the light of what the stories are, and coming in the coming weeks, coming weeks and months, with our top news stories of the week. If it's around the world, I mean, share your stories. Like, I mean, if you have a good story or or a bad story also. I mean, we can mix it up with good stories and bad stories. Not that people want to hear bad stories, or I mean, they love to hear good stories. But it's mixing it up, and that's not pinning one good story to a bad story, but it's all about lived experience and sharing your lived experience. Is it a funny moment that you had in life, with your disability, or as an ally? I mean, whatever it may be, I mean, share it with us, and we will definitely go through them. And as Neil said, I mean, there's a lot of bad stories here, but it's
Yeah.
reality.
So on this particular story, again, it's the special education exclusion.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go to Saskatchewan for this one,
Oh.
and it's to do with there was this report released in December of 2025,
Mm.
and it was saying that there was about 1,350 students that were excluded from schools in the school districts in Saskatchewan. And so there's a Saskatchewan NDP education shadow minister,
Mm.
in the province there. Matt Love has raised this issue of up to 1,350 students that were excluded from a regular school day where they either didn't get to attend school at all or only got to attend partially. Yeah, and so we have this MLA in Saskatchewan
Mm.
who has
Advocating to try to.
come forward and said this is not right. You're denying the right to a full-time access to
Mhm.
education.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
equal access to education. I mean, excluding adults or young children, youth, adults. I mean, from education, is totally unacceptable for excluding them from participating in society, in our education system. It doesn't matter where it is in our country. Again, it's one of those no good scenarios where there's not a very good outcome that comes out of it, because really all it does is just puts egg in the face of the governments across our country. And of course, the response, oh, well, we need to do better. We need to do better. Well, why not just do it better in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Why cause exclusion in the first place? I can relate to that. I'm not going to dive into the whole story on it, but I was excluded when I was a child in elementary school, put into a separate room. Why?
Yeah.
Oh, well, because Brent has trouble seeing small print, and it's taking him too long. So this way he'll learn better in a separate room. And I overheard some of that conversation, and I spoke up. Everybody, I said, I want to be part of my classmates. Well, it's better a bit because I mean they might tease you, Brent, because of you're wearing glasses, and your glasses are very thick, and we don't want you to do name calling us. That's okay. That's just part of who I am. I said, I haven't had any kids in my class that will name call me, and it was all about them trying to seclude me away from it. And I wouldn't put up with it. I took a stand then, and I take a stand now, and I say that we need to now learn going forward as society, and hold our government officials to account. So I mean, the government, like if you're not going to do it, the citizens of Canada in each province, when they hear these stories and they say, well, yeah, I have somebody in my life that has a disability, or someone that I know, a friend of a friend of a friend who has a disability, or maybe you have a disability, and and basically it affects your well-being in so many cases of being restricted from education or opportunities. Speak up, like again, like write your Obama's person, write your local.
Well, and again, Brent, just to finish this one up, this Matt Love, like I said, he's the shadow minister, or the critic for education in the Saskatchewan government.
Yeah, kudos
And
to you. Kudos to you.
we just talked about ombudsman office.
Mhm.
So he has launched a complaint.
Good.
He has filed the complaint to the ombudsman office in Saskatchewan.
Mhm.
So here again, we're talking about ombudsman person
Mm-hmm.
offices, and this is what's happening in Saskatchewan. is you have an MLA. Do they call them MLAs in Saskatchewan? I think so.
I think
I'm not sure
sure.
though.
I'm pretty sure they do, but if we're wrong, anyone
If
can.
we're wrong, sorry, but they call them MLAs here in BC, so I think they
Yeah.
call them MLAs in Saskatchewan too. Anyway, so you have this MLA Matt Love who has filed with the Ombudsman office there. So
Hmm.
we hope good things happen there.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Neil. And again, like it shouldn't even have to be a discussion or somebody to have to file, a complaint to the ombudsperson that anyone in the education system has been excluded. I mean, accept people for who they are. Don't exclude them. Like, don't tuck them away out of society. And I think it's a systemic problem. Actually, more than I don't think it is a systemic problem that we have in
Mhm.
our society, and it's about having citizens across Canada to speak up and let the politicians from every stripe know that no, it's not okay. Here's a challenge before we move on to number 5.
Yeah.
So for the politicians in your platforms, it doesn't matter which political party that you are in, if you're running in an election that's coming up in the near future, if there is going to be one, who knows? I don't know. If you're in a civic election, listen to who's at your door, like saying what matters to you. Is it people with disabilities? But if you're running as a provincial or federal politician, put it in your platform, include people with disabilities at no less than poverty level financial support. I bet I'm going to challenge each and every one of you, put it in your platform and then see how many people vote for you, right? Here's a challenge. I bet none of you will do that, will you?
Wow, we'll
Prove
see
me wrong.
that.
Prove me wrong on that. Prove me wrong. That because I bet that if you do that, you're going to change the whole outlook on how people are going to perceive our beautiful country. We can turn things around, right? But at the same time, it's about respecting citizens. Like, start treating people with the proper dignity and respect. Bring our rates up to a level where you can buy your basics, but when you have a disability, your expenses are much higher. Your
Yeah.
cost of living is higher.
Well, our last episode was about the crypt tax, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So anyone who is interested in that, tune into our last episode
Yeah.
about cryptax, and we dived
Mhm.
into a lot of this stuff. But
Yeah.
again, the education system, though, it's so important to um, not exclude people. But I mean, that is a challenge, though, for the politicians. I want you to put that in your platform too. Is that about the education system, that we're going to be making sure that all students are not excluded in private rooms in schools, or pulled away, or telling them to stay home because, well, we don't want to upset other children in our classrooms.
Yeah.
All inclusive, everybody, all inclusive.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go on to the next story here, Brent.
Number 5,
And
everybody.
it's number 5 is the 20-year wait list for supportive housing. We know something about that here in BC. There's a
Oh, there's a
huge
long
wait
wait.
list for housing.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
I
let
one of
me,
our participants that we have, and one of our guests that we have on every so often, who dives into our live chat, can relate to that. He was on a waiting list for 14 years. 14 years to get into subsidized housing. That was Now he's been in housing for years now, but 14 years now, I hear it's closer to 20 years now. Imagine you become homeless, and there's no priority of saying, okay, well, you have such and such a medical condition, you're going to get jumped up on the list. No, like, there's a long waiting list. There's not enough subsidized housing that's being built in British Columbia or any province across Canada. Matter of fact,
well,
uh,
this story here, Brent, I pulled this headline. It's from Oakville, Ontario. There's a 39-year-old woman
okay, oh,
in
yeah.
Oakville, Ontario. She's has developmental disability,
Hmm.
and she has been waiting for supportive housing since she graduated high school. So since she was 18 years old, she's now
Oh,
39 years old.
oh,
She
yeah.
has been waiting
Oh my gosh, 21.
for over 20 years for
Yeah,
some supportive housing.
it kind of goes with what I just mentioned, and the
Yeah,
number.
and to give more surrounding context about the story, the mom, she's been a widower for the last 5 years. Which I mean, even after 5 years, I mean, I can tell you, I've been a widow for over 12, like almost 13,
Mhm.
and you know, even 5 years removed or 13 years removed, it doesn't matter. It's still a significant loss.
Mhm.
And anyway, so this mom, she's a widower for 5 years, and she is the primary caregiver
Mhm.
for her daughter. She's always been the primary caregiver for her daughter. This woman's getting old. This mother's getting old now, and that is why she tried to get her into supportive housing 20 years ago,
Right.
is to allow for that transition in time when maybe that mother's not going to be around, or not, or maybe not necessarily not around, but not physically able to care for her herself,
Mhm.
because of her aged body, right? And so, um, you know, the mom was saying, like, the feedback that she's getting, and we get the same feedback here in BC, is that she was told that the only way you get housing placements is if you're in if you're in crisis.
Yeah.
If you are in
Yes. Yeah.
complete crisis, you may be able to get a house or a
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. You may. Yeah. Exactly. That's the key word. You may be able to get a housing, a home if you're in a.
But but she says there's chronic underfunding by the provincial government there in Ontario.
Hmm.
And yeah, so it's a really sad thing where you have this mother that's the primary caregiver, and we don't say that enough on the podcast, I don't think, is there's so many situations where families are taking the brunt. And I mean, not to
Yeah.
say that families don't want to do it, because of course most families want to do it
Of course.
in the sense that they want to care for their family. I mean, not
Yeah.
necessarily that they want to be the full-time caregiver, but that
Mhm.
they of course families usually want to take care of their own families. But for provincial governments to
Mhm.
assume that families will just step up to the plate continually,
That's
and
the
that
next. That's
the provincial governments can now just wash their hands of all responsibility and say, well, the families will do it. The
Mhm.
families will do it. We don't have to do it. We don't have to do anything. It's the families that will take
Yeah.
on the whole burden themselves.
Well, there's always that narrative that's out there of I think our current minister for MSDPR said on a talk show program, I think it was with CBC with Gloria, yeah, and just recently was saying, well, there's a narrative of the perception that society has, that that parents, the families will take care of disabled people, that they live at home with their parents, or they live in subsidized housing. No, there was at least 74% of disabled people pay live and pay market rent. They don't live at home with their parents. I mean, there's only 26% of the of PWD in BC of the one stats that we have. That stats, I think, is even changing, even shrinking, not in a good way, meaning that there's more PWD living in market housing than there are in subsidized housing, because the stock is disappearing. There's not enough housing getting built for subsidized housing, and then even if it is, you like you mentioned, Neil, you have to be in a crisis situation and
Yeah.
no other options. Like you can't. There's nowhere you can go. You can't go and live at your parents'. Maybe you don't have parents any longer. I mean, yeah, like I have relatives. I don't have parents anymore. I have relatives. But at the same time, so me, like, there's no option. What am I do if I become homeless? Where the government doesn't decides that they're not going to, they choose not to. Everybody, I mean, I'll just call a spade a spade. The government chooses not to raise disability rates. I don't
Mhm.
know why. They don't like disabled people, I guess. I mean, they say, oh, wow, because they don't pay into society. Well, yeah, people pay.
Well, and it doesn't affect them either. It
It
doesn't
doesn't
affect the
affect them.
it doesn't affect the politicians, so
No, no.
they could care less, right?
Exactly. They live in a bubble, right? And until they live the life of a person with disabilities, I think the narrative would change. Maybe they might look at it
Yeah.
in a different outlet. outlet, all right. But the fact is that it's about respecting, people with disabilities, giving them the proper supports, the proper housing that they need, accessible housing, the income, guaranteed income. Model it after the seniors, and also increase seniors' income. I mean, it's pathetic that seniors' incomes are not even up there to allow them to stay in their own home. They have to go into like a care home or a subsidized housing. They can still live in their housing, but they have to get subsidized housing. They can't pay that market rent. Well, why don't PWD have that same extension? Like, so because we're talking about subsidized housing. So again, like, why the government's not give PWD the same criteria as seniors? I mean, yeah, Sonia and I were just talking about this the other day. Like, why not just give some PWD the same scenario as seniors have? Allow them to have subsidized housing. Oh, because they get the PWD shelter portion. That's why they're not able to have it. Well, get rid of the shelter portion then, and just give everybody the same criteria. And you're going to get people housed. They're not going to be not unhoused, because here's an awful scenario of the outcome of being in a crisis situation, of not being able to have enough for housing. So when we say you have to be in a crisis situation in order to get subsidized housing, yeah, so you got to be homeless. I tested the waters on that. I talked to our housing provider in British Columbia, BC Housing. I phoned them up, and I said, well, how do I get into BC Housing or one of your housing providers? Well, guess what? You have to be homeless. That's right, everybody. You have to be homeless.
Yeah.
And this came right from them. The word of mouth that came right. I was shocked. My jaw dropped. I said, "Can you repeat that to me?" Oh, you have disabilities? I go, "Excuse me? What, you're saying because I have a disability that I'm not comprehending what you said?" No, I comprehend exactly what you said. I said, I just can't really register that your response that you have to be homeless. Well, where do you live now? Well, I pay market rent. Okay, so you pay market rent. You can't just say, "Oh, I want to go and pay subsidized rent, under an umbrella off of BC Housing." It doesn't work that way. You have to be unhoused on a waiting list. Okay, so I have to get myself to be basically unhoused. Okay, so what? Do I have to get myself evicted out of my housing, or refuse to pay my rent to my landlord? Yeah, that would get you evicted, but then you would be on a waiting list. You'd have to still apply. So you're telling me, so don't pay my rent, and so that I could just be evicted, or make myself become unhoused, just so I can have cheaper housing? Are you kidding me? How about extend it over to this market? Well, you'd have to talk to the provincial government. We just follow our policy. So your policy is what? So you have to be in under one file under BC Housing? Yes. One file to PWD, one file under BC Housing, or under their subsidiary third-party vendors that they have. There are some that are non-profit, some are for profit. I'm sure other provinces have the same scenario that's happening here. Over a 21-year waiting list in Ontario. That is completely unacceptable. In British Columbia, we're actually getting either at that level or even greater than that level.
Yeah.
And my motto is to have people housed. I know politicians, they're doing baby steps. They say there's more to work to do. Then why are there so many people on the streets, right? Why not get
Exactly. You're just making a bad situation like way worse.
Exactly. Like, get them the help that they need, get them the support that they need, get them the housing that they need, make sure they have the proper income that they need in order to help with their disabilities as an extension off of that. I mean, medications.
But now you wonder, like I said, off the top of the show, almost when we talked about Brenda Bailey, now is going to be the most hated person in all of BC with this new budget they're going to release in March. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, actually, it's
we'll see.
February. What day is that, Sonia? February 17th, Sonia said.
Oh, is that when they're releasing it? Wow. Okay, so
After
that's
Family
soon then.
Day, after
That,
Family Day, so people can
yeah,
celebrate with their family and then have the bad news of that.
yeah.
It sounds like the BC government is again not going to raise the PWD rates in BC. Just so our listeners and viewers know, the last time that our support rates in British Columbia was raised for persons with disabilities was part of the COVID supplement that was put in 2020 when we had COVID was full blown. BC had introduced a COVID supplement for persons with disabilities, people on income assistance, and seniors. They had distributed out as it was a trial basis at first just to see how it was going to work. And, all due respect to the former minister when he was in charge of the ministry, Shane Simpson, Honorable Shane Simpson at the time. And he wanted to make sure that it was going to continue to help people, and I know that he wanted to see that it was going to go well for people, and he saw that the program was working really well, and he
Yeah, and
advocated.
then it was that now that it was working, they just ended it.
Yeah, it was working
Yeah.
well, and we as advocates found out, and with lived experience, after talking to several news media at the time, where they were buzzing all over us, at the
Yeah.
time, and our listeners and viewers. Every time I turned around, there was a newspaper, news station, and they were just, "Can I interview? Yeah, sure." And they said, "What would happen if, well, at first, what would happen if the government put this in place?" Oh, it'd be amazing. It would change our lives. We could buy healthy food. We could go and move into a better living environment that didn't have mold and mildew, mold and bugs and people that were doing their drugs underneath us. Like, we lived in a place and they were doing their drugs underneath us. They were doing another unit that was kind of kitty corner down from the other unit, and it was all floating up. It was all around us. It got into our refrigerator, everybody. It was disgusting. It was terrible. Like, we had to keep throwing stuff out. We looked around. We couldn't find anywhere to move to. We were in a lease agreement at the time. It was not good. Imagine breaking that lease, right? So we were right in the middle of COVID, and so we couldn't move, but we still looked around. We couldn't find anywhere. So anyway, long story short, not going to kind of railroad the topic off here, but it is related to kind of like accessible housing, because, like, again, I phoned up at that time. I phoned up BC Housing, and I said, well, how would we look at getting into something like that? Oh, there's a long waiting list. Yeah, you're market housing, so you're good. You're housed. I said, it's not a good housing environment. We got mold. Yeah, it's not a health issue. It's not a health issue. Okay, so you can talk to Minister of Health or you can go to, if you're feeling any symptoms, go to the emergency. They can treat you. But yeah, again, you're housed. So, like, wow, like, I'm just like, wow, like, what is going on here? Like, spin, right? It's like deflect. So anyway, the COVID supplement, when it was out, it was great because we were able to buy more healthy food, replenish our stuff that we had to keep throwing out. We had to keep buying it as we needed it for that day. We knew that, maybe some things we could probably have in a container. It's not going to leach in it. Thing. But anyway, so wasting product, right? Fast forward over time, the government got rid of it. But they got rid of some of it, but they kept it in place, 175 of it. So in the BC budget, they ran with that 175. It was a rate increase of 175 to your support. And then 2 years later, to the shelter, they gave back part of that $300. They gave back 125 2 years later in 2023. Nothing, no increase since. So with support, that was in 2021. So if there's no increase in this year's budget in 2026, that'll be 5 years. So people probably ask, or, on the podcast here, or listeners and viewers, and anyone tuning in later on, they're probably going to say, well, when was the actual last increase then, besides the COVID supplement? That was in 2019, everybody, $50. $50, right? So with the government saying, oh, well, we've raised the rates 5 times since we formed government. Well, with going so many years with not raising the rates, how is that any better? Now with the cost of living much higher, right? People, are suffering, right? I mean, they're trying to keep a roof over their head. we worry here that if there's nothing in the BC budget, we worry that we're going to have to move, like, because we can't afford to keep getting rent increases and not having money to offset that cost. Like, you can't keep cutting back because there's nowhere else to cut back on fixed incomes. So I guess, BC government, I mean, do you want us to be homeless so that we can now qualify for subsidized housing? Because if that happens, BC government, I tell you, I welcome the media to contact me. You've got my email address there. You've got Sonia's email address. You can come on our podcast and I can interview you. We can tell you our story. I would be more than happy to have you come on and we can talk about the lived experience story here. It wouldn't be a good look to have a disabled person housed and then all of a sudden become unhoused because the government refuses to raise our rates. Come on, let's be mature about this whole situation, governments across Canada. Let's take care of our citizens, keep people housed in their housing, or provide them disability financial support no less than poverty level, right? And what is poverty level? It's the basic standard that the federal government set in place when we had COVID, like when COVID was in full blown, right? What did our Prime Minister say back then in 2020? He said that nobody should not be able to not get by less than $2,000. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, remember that line, $2,000. Our rates in BC and any other province is well below $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
So
well, we have Patrick in chat now too, and he says that the Ontario waiting list is ridiculous. So he confirms it's really bad.
So Patrick, so it's just as bad in BC then, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next. We're going to try to fire through these ones.
Okay.
I
took a little bit longer, everybody, on that.
Yeah. Well, I know you're passionate about it.
I just get so mad. I just get so pissed off because it makes sense to keep people housed, not unhoused.
Yeah.
Like,
Anyway, our next headline is to do with Uber. Uber is leaving service dogs and blind persons on the curb. They're just a person will book an Uber, and the Uber will see the service dog and then take off and say, "Sorry, I'm not going to take you."
Oh, that's just wrong.
Yeah,
beyond wrong.
Isn't that terrible?
That's disgusting.
Yeah. So this is an article that I found. It was posted by CBC Go. So on CBC Go Public, that's where I found this one. And
take his driver's license away.
Yeah, the gist of it is that people with disabilities have the legal right to travel with a service animal. It's a legal right. It's a legal right to travel with a service animal. Yet some Uber drivers refuse to pick up or cancel pickups. And I did watch the video. And the representative for Uber has said that, of course, this is inexcusable. That they obviously need to retrain some of their drivers because this is not the right thing to do. So anyway, so again, kind of a bad news story because we're talking about lived experience where it's like, oh well, it's just a blind person on the side of the road with a service dog.
Yeah, discrimination.
We don't have to pick up them. Yeah, discrimination, right?
Total discrimination. Yeah. I've heard stories about that before. There was a transit driver in British Columbia a few years back now, and a person basically wanted to get on the bus. They had their white cane. They got on, and but they had one of the shopping carts. They were trying to get onto the bus. Same thing. The bus driver refused to lower down the ramp, and they can lower down the ramp so you can get on to make it more accessible for the person to get on. Nope, refused to do that. And they said, "Oh, just use your arms to lever yourself up on the low. They got little bars on each side of the door. Yeah. So hoist yourself up there." And said, "Well, can you lower the ramp down to make it more accessible for me to get on?" Okay, well, hurry up. We got a busload of passengers. I got a route to do. Wow. I remember hearing about that too. I was like, that is crazy. Like, that's not how you treat passengers with disabilities, especially even being sight impaired. As a person who is sight impaired myself,
Right.
I'm very grateful that my sight allows me to. I'm still able to navigate around. That I can. My perception is not bad. It's not perfect. It's not bad. But basically, if the bus is not pulled up straight with the curb, and I get out the back door, I have to be really careful because perception, I can look down. Thank gosh that my glasses, I got them changed because those other ones I had before, that was my perception was really off whack. It felt I almost felt like I was being dizzy because they messed up on my prescription really bad. They wanted to make my glasses so that I could read small print. Okay, read small print, but all in one. Like read small print and actually just for general viewing for magnification. What they did was they enhanced the magnification, everybody, on my glasses. And never in my life, I've been wearing glasses since I was a little child. Never have I ever had glasses where I wore them. I'm like, whoa, like what's going on? The magnification was so intense that everywhere I would look,
objects are closer than they appear, kind of thing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And it threw it right off. And so I can understand when people get very upset when for accessibility wise of the bus not being pulled up close up to the curb or not lowering a ramp down. Oh, just grab onto the bars, hoist yourself up. No, make it better for for a customer to get on. Treat them with proper respect. Don't talk down to them. That's one of my pet peeves is somebody talking down to me, like even government, right? It's like do unto others as you want done.
Infantilism, it's called.
Yeah, I mean, I remember workers talking down to me. So you're coming in here for a crisis supplement. Okay, why live within your means? Why you budget better? How much money do you have? How much do you have a change?
Why doesn't the BC government budget better?
Oh, well,
they're the one that's blown through like billions and billions and billions of dollars.
They had a $6 billion surplus, Neil. Everybody, they turned it into a $13.9 billion.
Yeah, now it's $14 billion.
Yeah, $14 billion.
So they've blown through $20 billion in 2 years.
Oh, but that's
quite the accomplishment.
Yeah, but that's the operating budget. Then they got the actual other budget. They have two budgets. They got the operating budget. Then they got another one for services of like bridges, roads, repairs. Right. That's their other, what's the other budget called? But anyway, it's for infrastructure, like an
infrastructure budget. Yeah.
Okay, so it was at $89 billion when Mr. Horgan was in power, when he was the premier. When it was handed over to David Eby, the premier, it's now projected that budget from $89 billion is now projected to go up to $212 billion.
That's crazy.
Within 3 years.
And they haven't really even delivered anything for that money.
No, and that's the not even an increase in PWD rates out of they say the $89 billion up to $212 billion, or that's the infrastructure budget or the operating budget.
Like you could understand it a little bit if things were actually markedly better.
I mean,
but if things are actually like so much worse. Well, and it's like, how do you piss through like $150 billion or whatever?
Well, that's what I mean.
And have things get so much worse.
Yeah, there's nothing to show for it. Like one of my neighbors, we were talking about advocacy because he says, I watch your podcast all the time. He said, you guys do a bang up job. And I said, yeah, sometimes I ramble on too much. And he goes, Brent, that's just your nature. It's who you
like today.
Yeah, and people understand that. But they enjoy your stories. He says, I enjoy listening to your story and all your stories. But the fact is that my neighbor was asking questions like about why the BC government or in any government in Canada, why they're not treating people with respect. He says, where I come from, he says they treat people with respect. Like, sure, I mean, cost of living goes, is high. I mean, in a lot of places, but he says it's not a good look where Canada has the most the most unaffordable food inflation in the G7 countries. It's not a good look. And so when that happens, he says, why is the BC government, he says, since we're in BC, he says, why have they not increased our rates? Like he says, why are they being so damn stubborn? I said, because it's a political policy decision that the government chooses not to do. And he says, yeah, he says, well, someone's got to stop drinking so much Kool-Aid. He said they got to stop drinking so much Kool-Aid, everybody.
Yeah.
And he said the Kool-Aid, I think it needs to be changed up because
Pink unicorn Kool-Aid, Brent.
yeah, exactly. I mean, there's different flavors of pink unicorn, but the fact is that it's not a good look when you got people in your community that are now saying to the government, why are you not doing the right thing? Like, why are you finding every excuse not to raise the rates? They said they're behaving. The one lady says to me, they're behaving like the previous way back when the Liberal government did. And I said, yeah, it's not a good look, is it? I said, but I said, I don't like to do the blame game. I don't, I know the NDP or the Liberals or whoever, they'll blame each other. I always say, you know what? Whoever's in government has to be accountable. They don't keep blaming a previous administration from many years ago for problems now. Like, who's in government? Who's going to fix the policy? And that goes with every premier across the country. Work with each premier, work with each other, make the country more accessible, more affordable for people. Lower down the taxes. There we go. Make it more affordable. Don't keep generating out more GST credits, because all you're going to do is just jack up the price for food and make food inflation go higher. I mean, that's what we found out when at the beginning of the show here, I talked about the food inflation, right? I said, well, what happened with that GST holiday? Prices went up. Follow the food professor along that, by the way, if you want to keep up with that on social media. He's a very knowledgeable guy. Some people mock him and say, yeah, he's just, he's just he's blowing smoke out of his ass or something. You know what I mean? But no, like, I mean, with all, he's with all sincerity, he's not wrong. He's not wrong with his info. I follow him on Global News. Like, he comes on Global News, does segments on there. I find him very informative. He's basically saying, like, these food inflation costs are really going to get passed on to the consumer. And I know that basically Mark Carney, wants to come out and try to make things affordable, but these small little increments is not going to do a lot to help people with the cost of living. People need a predictable amount going forward every month. Let's turn it into more inclusive of the CDB. Like, let's bring it in, model it under the GIS, like under for senior supplement that was supposed to be originally modeled. Where is the disability minister that was supposed to be there? Nowhere to be seen. Accessible help.
Let's go to the last one, Brent.
Okay.
We want to bring this in for a landing. The last one, we're sticking right to here to Vancouver. There's a man in a wheelchair here in Vancouver that can't attend Canucks hockey games because all of the accessible seating in the arena is taken up by people that are able-bodied. They're just sitting in the seats.
Oh no!
In the seats, so that nobody in a wheelchair can use the seats. So that's a pretty minor one. I mean, it's a small one to end off on, but
it still
is kind of annoying that because the thing about this story is that apparently the seating is based on the honor system, and I mean used to be the honor system used to work well, but then of course you get a whole bunch of people that cheat, and then I mean our BC transit system was all on the honor system before, and you never used to see very many people cheating. They would, people were honorable and they actually would do the right thing. But nowadays, the honor system doesn't work. And people abuse the privilege, and so you have people with that are able-bodied that are taking up the seats for.
I can relate to that. Getting on a transit bus and having to hang on to the bars. They have the hoisters from the bars and the bus there on the top. They got ones where you can put your hand in there and you hold on to. How many times that I've had to stand there and I get on the bus and there's seating that's supposed to be there for people for accessibility needs, scooters, wheelchairs, people with walkers, grocery carts. They all go into a certain area in the front of the bus. And then those seats are also designated for people with disabilities, for if they have a service dog, or if you're sight impaired, whatever your disability is. Like, I'm not going to exclude certain disabilities and pin other ones against other disabilities. No, I mean, everybody should have that right to those areas, because that's what they're supposed to be for. If if a person decides that, you know what, I'm going to sit down in another seat because that's where they want to sit, that's fine. I mean, if that's where they want. But if somebody deliberately doesn't want to get up out of those seats and they refuse to get up, then that's wrong. Like, I mean, I've got on the bus before where I'm trying to keep a balance. Like, there was like so many people on, but it's like trying to keep a balance on it, and you're trying to hold on to groceries.
I've gotten up more than once for uh, at least a couple of pregnant women. I have gotten up out of my
Me
seat
too.
because other people are just zoned out. They're not paying attention. So
Yeah,
I'll actually be the one to get up and off my seat,
yeah.
and then eventually maybe somebody will notice and go, "Holy crap! There's a guy on crutches that is standing up," because
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, I had that too. Like, I sat down. There was a young lady, like 23, 24-ish, around there. I don't know exactly what her age was. I mean, I don't ask people their ages, but I mean, it was really nice. Like, she says, "Sir, I got on just the other couple of days ago," and she said, "Sir, did you want to sit down?" No, I'm good. Like, I was just being polite. I said, "No, I'm good." No, I mean, I noticed that you have a pass that you got on, and I said,
Hmm.
"Right. I mean, that's a disability pass." "Oh, okay." So I got on, and she said, "No, no, no, I want you to sit down." Okay, fine. So I sat down. "Thank you. That's very kind of you." And I'm looking over at some other individuals. They're like some school little punks that were just like force assing around. And
Hmm.
like, no, would they want to get up out of their seat? No, of course not, right? Well,
Yeah.
anyway, the person who got on came on with a scooter, and I hear the bus
Hmm.
driver starts lowering the ramp down. "Okay, everyone, there's somebody coming on with a scooter," and then there was a walker. There was a walker coming on right after that. Well, right
Hmm.
away, I get up and
Hmm.
move to another seat. There was another
Yeah.
seat that came available. There was another. There was a couple Asians. There was a really nice people. I was talking to them on the bus. They were
Hmm.
sitting about 3 seats down on the seats that are kind of parallel the other way. And they said, "Go, God, oh, well, no problem." I didn't even ask. They just got up and, "Here, we have a seat." So I sat
Yeah.
down. Sonia sat down because she was traveling along to an
Hmm.
appointment. So anyway, so we sat down, and don't again those kids, they were still sitting there.
Yeah.
Bus
Yeah.
driver
Yeah.
actually had to say something. "Okay, everyone out of all those seats." Like, it should not have to
Right.
come down to the operator of the bus to tell them to get out of those seats. They should be taking the initiative themselves, and that goes to anybody. You see somebody coming on with any kind of accessibility needs, you move out of the way. But
Yeah.
society, unfortunately, things that make sense, Neil.
Well, the owners of Canucks hockey have said in the article, they said, well, we don't want to have to um, ask the person for proof of disability because that would violate privacy concerns. So
Mm,
that's their
oh,
rationale for keeping everything honor system, right?
mm, yeah,
But maybe we are to the point that maybe there should be some sort of card as proof that okay, I
yeah.
am a disabled person or
Have,
something because or when you book the actual seat, like
hmm
somehow prove that you have some sort of disability because obviously the honor system isn't working in that case. Anyway, I
yeah,
think we should punch out.
yeah.
Hopefully, everybody enjoyed the first go of this. I was struggling with the screens a little bit. I had a screen started to move around a little bit for me, so hopefully so I was a bit distracted, but hopefully that will not
Yeah,
happen
and
next week.
everybody, I got went off the rails there on the topics, but I get very passionate when it comes to scenarios that makes total sense, that and governments flip it upside down and do things reverse. But again, it really affects everybody in society when when your basic needs and your standards of living are not being met. I guess the moral of the story is, write your local members of parliament. If you're provincial,
Ombudsman office.
yeah, your
Ombudsman
office on
Yeah.
each province.
Yeah.
Let's gather together as community members and as citizens across Canada, and let the politicians know that status quo is not okay in 2026 and going forward. Let's change things because, I mean, let's just admit to each other, as we get older, we're gonna get more ailments. We're gonna get more disabilities. We're gonna have more impairments of whatever it may be. It may not affect you. It may or may not affect you. I don't know. Or I mean, physically, mentally. But regardless of the situation, it's the dignified living, right? I mean,
Here's a bit of poetry for you, Brent.
oh,
Let's say no to status quo.
I
Let's
love
say
poetry.
no to status quo.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah. So yeah, just your right or phone, however you want to do it. Contact your members and of legislative assemblies, parliament, federal, provincial. This is standard of living. We need to correct things, get people housed, not unhoused. Give people the right to dignified life. No less than poverty level financial support, whatever that may be, up to like LICO. MBM, well, I guess if they have to do MBM, but I prefer LICO formula, and that's the standard. That's a basic standard. That's federal basic standard. That's an average standard. Now, each province and territory across Canada have different levels of disability supports. Some don't even have disability supports in their province. Unacceptable. It needs to be up to a certain standard. Because your cost of living is different in each province. BC's most expensive province in the country. And the province who doesn't want to raise disability rates or income assistance rates or take care of seniors rates either. That needs to be fixed too. So much to advocate for. So if you're all on board and you agree that governments need to do better, let your voices shine. Let your voices be heard. Is it civic elections coming up, provincial, federal election, whatever it is in the near future? I mean, put it in your platforms, candidates. Put it in your platforms. Because I know that they're picking a new leader in BC for the Conservative Party. Put it in your platforms. I'd love to know where you stand on bringing people up to no less than poverty level financial support in BC, because we're in BC. So I want to know where you stand on that. Yeah. So
anyway,
thank you.
Cheers, everyone.
Tuning in. Let's get people housed and take care. And hope you enjoyed today's show.